Hey guys, Mustached here to review the movie Passenger. So I've seen the trailer for this a few times, and I thought, at least from the trailers that I was watching, that this was actually going to be a werewolf movie due to the markings on the vehicles. Boy, was that far off, but here we are nonetheless. I am still here to review it as objectively as possible. So, the movie starts with two people in a car, obviously. Lucas and another individual named Daniel, who, after driving for some time, one of them has to head out to release, as it were. Upon attempting to return, Daniel is suddenly gone, with 3 marks provided to their vehicle. He attempts to obviously get out of the situation, but not of very much high luck on that regard. As he manages to finagle his way to drive off, he sees an individual 3 times before cutting to our title crawl. We then cut to our main characters, this couple named Maddie and Tyler, or as he's simply referred to as Ty, but I'll just call him Tyler. So he wants to live the van life, and she is getting used to it, being, as we'll later learn, she is pregnant. And we learn that he's going to, and does so, propose to her after doing a little light show in the van. She says yes, but she initially drops the ring. During their travels of another vehicle keeps trying to prompt them on the side of them to keep heading backward. But the vehicle crashes further down the road. Tyler then proceeds to call the police. We see him being pulled, the guy in the vehicle, and then back into the vehicle, and is killed as we see a neck injury that is amplified by the airbag that's in every car, push the neck so that the blood could expose that. The police arrive after this incident, and details are obviously given, but the camcorder, because their van has like a few cameras, approx 6 of them, stops before the accident, as it were. But they discover that 3 marks have been placed on their van. But they move on, not thinking too much on it. They end up going to this van fest of where other people who live in their vans and other vehicles that are of that variety are all together. Here we see that there is some sort of van tuber or some sort of video maker that does stuff about that. I digress, and Maddie sees that the food in their van has gone bad. She then approaches the missing persons list and sees the stick figure with 3 marks in that diagonal fashion. She then meets Diane, who warns her of the passenger, as the movie is promptly titled. Diana, in fact, as I mentioned slightly earlier, mentions how she is early on in her pregnancy. And Diana's warning is that people don't take trips, trips take people. Nonetheless, Tyler, I'm not sure why I said Mark, but Tyler gets the van buffered so that they can proceed. They have a fun night at the van party, have a little dance there, and we get the probably the most abrupt cut from here, with her at the store, and she's making her way back to the vehicle, almost getting, like, completely eviscerated by a passing by car, and upon the car passing, the van gets further from the position that it was in before. She does some more walking, and of course the van pulls away once more. But she manages to eventually get to the van and checks the camera, saying that it didn't move, or something along those lines. But she does see something from the original recording. A spectral force or something. She begins hearing noises in the car, and it even goes off as the van is proceeded to be attacked. She texts Tyler to hurry up back. I guess he was also in the store or something. And as she puts her seatbelt on, or already had it on, I forget which one it was, it gets pulled back against her. She manages to use this pendant that he set up earlier in the film, that is this coin of safe passage, as it were. Tyler says that he believes her when she explains most of what had happened when he returns. When they're in the store, even Maddie still hears some footsteps but doesn't see any individual, like, following them. We learn the obvious through the Google searching, or a book rather, actually, that the 3 markings in that diagonal fashion means it's simply not safe in that position. And, just to make that clear, the 3 marks even return to the van. And she does more of the cliche of learning more of the horror through the Google searching. Seeing how others refer to her, this being, as the passenger, and the symbols as well. But that moment is quickly subsided as the sound amplifies and the lights go out. He lowers the screen, because they were watching a movie later on, and it has like a sort of curve out, like a person is pressing up against it. And he lowers the screen, and they try to follow the noise with the light, and they both see it. So even if he was lying about believing her, which I think he was saying like he believed her, but nonetheless, they both see this being, as it were, the passenger, as we'll refer. The van gets hit up from above. He goes for the keys, which ended up outside of the car, and even further out into the forest. So he has to head out further to get it back, to get the keys back. He sees it briefly and makes his way. And as they are traveling again, when he returns, or when they make another stop, he shows him the symbol and catches him up on all that text, because he didn't get that from earlier. He wants to burn the van, which sounds like a pretty neat idea. Kind of ends up happening, actually, in a degree. But she figures that it will continue to follow them too, in particular, despite if they even did that. So unfortunately, as they continue on, the bolts for the car, or the wheel, one of the wheels, the back wheels, does the wheel brake pop, as it were, and the bolts that he takes out end up further under the van, so he has to crawl under them to get them. And she is possessed temporarily to be placed on her knees and is almost placed into another car accident. Almost forced to get run over, but he catches up to her after almost the van crushing him from above. They make their way to another van fast to try to talk to Diana. They mention that the passenger has followed them, and that freaks her out, and that proceeds to freak everyone else there out. The power extends, as it were, and proceeds to kill Diana. Maddie smartly suggests to not separate, and they proceed to fill the entire van with those coins. And when they're on the road again, it ends up being night a lot sooner than they were anticipating. With, on top of that, their vehicle almost being at empty. Luckily, she spots one of the good signs to follow and proceeds to do so, even if it goes off-road. When they see these older cars that have probably been used here prior to try to get rid of this spirit and likely had failed, he puts on a coin while he's out there sort of guiding her toward closer and closer to the church that they were heading toward. The back door is opened, and the coins are flung out, and the demon tries to pull them away from one another. But she is able to stop while in the church, while getting into it, and proceeding to slam the demon into the religious area, while then the vehicle van flames up, and from that proceeds them sort of off the beaten path, slightly outside. And way earlier from the movie, when he had gotten the coin, she had brought the phone that could SOS their location, and he proceeds to press that, which is what allows for the police and hospital trucks to head over to pick them up. And that, after they decide to live in a more permanent household, is the movie Passenger. So, a fairly more generic, I would call this, horror movie in the possession or like ghostly demonic figure kind of way. The characters are a bit simplistic, like we we learn basic facts like Maddie's pregnant and he is, the one obsessed with being out in the road. Outside of these factors, we don't really learn too much about the characters. And that's always that is something that could have been worked on throughout, especially earlier on in the movie. There are always these things you can do to pretty much tell us something about these characters. But it does play a lot safer than, you're sort of more in line with a more traditional demonic movie in a sense. So I think it could have been a little more tightened up for us to, care a little more about the characters. And it's not like the characters are assholes, so it doesn't have that other problem where you're like, oh, good grief, they're just bodies waiting to be plummeted and killed. It's not that, it's just that the characters are relatively flat. And again, I don't think that's necessarily a terrible thing, I just think it could be better than this flat aptitude of characterization. But at least it has something going for it. So yeah, I think this movie's fine. I was hoping for something a little bit more, I guess. But, again, it's fine. And yeah, so I think I would give it like a 6 out of 10. Like it could use a little tightening up in terms of character work. But it's still solid enough. It's still serviceable enough as a movie. And with that, that is my review for Passenger. If you ended up enjoying that review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. Want to head you to my petition, how about small YouTubers, second to my PayPal. It can help support me, my channel directly, and third to my Discord server. You can join Club, Shield, do all that cool stuff for free, and until next time, everyone, bye-bye.